Hello, this is a source code walkthrough of the game called Deep Sea Survivor. So I'll be going through the code. The first code we'll look at is the UI handler, which is responsible for handling the UI of the game when it starts. So there are two scripts attached to this game object. One is called UI handler, the other is called rewarded video handler. So the rewarded video handler, let's take a look at that first. This is just a very small script that is handling the rewarded videos that play in the game for various rewards. So we are going to take a look at that right now. This is the game ID, so this is it. This is the Unity iOS ID and this is the Unity Android ID. So we're going to take a look at that. In fact, I will actually be changing this after a while because I think that this should have been the same. So there it is. Anyway, so we've got public string for a placement. This is a string for the placement ID, which will be the rewarded video ID, and then we also have a start function. So anyway, we are actually initializing the ads in this start method here, and then we've got the rewarded video function. So basically what happens is that when we call an ad, like whenever we run an ad, we actually have a switch case here. So reward number, the player gets the reward based on a switch case and the reward number. The reward number is changed in script. So when the player clicks a button, the reward that the player gets is according to reward number. So this is handled in the editor, and this is how it works. So once the player watches the reward, which is going to be here, show rewarded video, there it is. So once the ad has been watched, the player actually gets one of these one of the rewards here. So tanks, coins, and gems. These are the rewards that the player can get. So this is basically it for this script. The next script we're going to take a look at, which is a large script, is actually the UI handler. Over here we're handling the keys. These are the string values for the keys. These will be used in the player prefs. So we've got all of the keys, the string of the keys over here. Then we have the integer values for the keys here and the float values, and we also have the sprites here for the level selection unlocks and sprites. So these are the level selection images, which basically are handling whether or not the level is unlocked or not. Then we've got level button images, which is here. These are the these will hold the level button images, and these are the level selection buttons. So these are all of the buttons for the level selection. They'll basically be inactive when a level is not unlocked, so that's the thing. Other than that, you have the oxygen tank region here. So this is just the oxygen tank region. It also has the player coins variable here, as well as the player gems variable. Actually, I should rename this. This should be player items region. Okay, so here we have got all of the player gems, the coins, and the tanks here. So anyway, these have got text mesh pro variables here, because the text mesh pro that is being drawn on the screen is handled here, and the values are being handled here as well. So these are the gems 1, 2, gems 2, gems 3, because there are 3 times the gems appear on screen, so that's the reason why there are 3 of them. Anyway, player outfit unlocking, this is for these are basically the string values for the keys again, and these are all of the sprite variables here. These are all of the images for the outfits for both male and female. Then you've got UI objects here, which are the various UI game objects that are in the game right now. In the start, we're handling all of the keys. So this is if the player doesn't have a key, these are going to be set here. Then we have the outfit strings here. Then we've got the update, which is basically just updating all of the text that is on the screen. If there's a change in the in the player prefs, it'll show on the screen in the game. And this is the main menu region, so we've got all of the various functions for the main menu over here. Then we've got level selection, and these are all of the various level selection methods, including unlock levels. This is how the levels are being unlocked. You check the player press value and then you unlock it. Then you've got level button clicked, all of the level button clicks here. So this is for actually setting a player press value for the level that has been selected, and this will basically take, after clicking this, you'll go to the general selection screen. I guess it was at flow, and then we've got the general selection buttons here, as well as the handling over here in this region. This is the region for general selection, and we can move from here, and these are the various purchase screens in the oxygen tanks region. Again, this should be player items region. I believe it should be that, but let me just check. No, this is right. This was player tanks. Fine. Alright, player tanks. Okay. So player tanks are being handled over here. Purchase tank, and all of the purchase 10 tanks. So all the purchase tank options are here, and yeah, that's it basically. You can see that the reward number is being called over here. Then we've got coins menu region, which is handling the coins screen here. Then we've got gems menu region here. Okay. Then we've got outfits region here, which is handling the price and the unlocking of the various outfits that are on the screen. We've got the outfit selection for a male outfit and female outfit back button here. These are the back buttons, by the way. These are going to take the user to the previous screen that was actually shown. These are the various male outfits, and then we have, yeah, that's the end of the script. So the entire code for the main menu and all the menu flows is being handled here. We will basically now just wait for this to compile, and then we'll move on to the other scene. There are two scenes, and I mean two main scenes. There's also a there are three scenes, but the difference between scene 1 and scene 2 is very small. So let's take a look at try scene. Once it loads, this is try scene, and these are all of the you can see all of the variables in the hierarchy, the game objects in the hierarchy, and these are all of those. So we've got all of the players here: player 1, 2, 3, 1 female, 2 female, 3 female. So there you have them. We'll first take a look at game level setup. So the level game setup has the game objects, all of them. It loads according to the outfit that the player selected, using this here. So these are the various statements. So if you've got player prefs genders to 1, that means you have to spawn male, and it then gets player spawn, whatever it is, it just spawns that player. So if the player selected outfit 2 and it's a male, it's going this particular statement is going to run, because this is how it's done. Here's the start function, which is going to be actually having an instance here, and then you're setting the level objective screen through here. So the objective level screen is going to show for a while. It's an enumerator, so it will turn off automatically. Then you've got a start code routine here, which is basically just handling the level objective routine, and then you've got display game over function here, which is used to display the game over, which is actually a function to display the game over. So this is the this is the invoke method for that, and this is the display game over. So after a while the game over screen will be displayed over here. However, this is actually not a game over screen, this is actually a level complete screen, so this is where it's handled. Anyway, so we've done this. Now we're going to take a look at the other checkpoints variable. So the checkpoints variable is basically a visual script, and this is it. So it just handles the checkpoints, takes the checkpoints in an object here. The various box colliders are given here. When you have a collision over here, you're going to actually load the player or set its position to that checkpoint on the next spawn. So this is how it's being handled. So all of this code is basically just setting the player position based on where it has collided with the checkpoint. So this is all the checkpoint level 1, checkpoint level 2, checkpoint level 3, checkpoint level 4, checkpoint level 5, checkpoint. Basically, I've named it level, but it's not actually level. It's basically the various checkpoints. I have designated them as levels. They're not actually levels. They're basically just box colliders, and as soon as the player collides, it just sets a value to the set variable here, which is level 1 checkpoint. And this actually, what it does is it just sets the position of the player on start over here. So as soon as the game starts, the player's position will actually be set according to the checkpoint that collided with over here. So that's the visual script. Other than that, you have the player boss fish here, which is again a mixture of visual script as well as a C# script. So if you take a look at C# script, is basically handling the movement of the player. It has states. So there's a movement state, and then there's a do chase state. But this script is actually handling the health only of the game object. So we have, if it collides with the bomb, that means we have to deduct health, which is being handled over here. So it's an on trigger enter 2D function where we are actually colliding with the bomb and deducting a health point from the boss. This is also present on all other scripts, on all other enemies. So the hit trigger is basically the AI of the boss and also the other fish. So we've got a visibility check. This is for optimization. So this script will only run when the player becomes visible. Then it's going to start patrolling, which is to these functions. It'll just go left and right. This is the visual script for that. So we've got just this small script system here. Then we've got do chase, which is basically going to chase the player as soon as the player gets close to this fish. So this is the visual script for that. Other than that, these are the parallax backgrounds. This is just, well, the parallax background, and it's not really something very nothing special about this. It's just a parallax background. Then we've got big fish. These are just groups of fish. This is the same UI it's the same AI and the scripts that the actual boss had. So there's no difference except that they're smaller. Then we've got player scripts here. These are scripts that are handling the player. So if you take a look at this, these are the various variables for the game object, the player movement, the audio sources here, state control variables because the player can have a die state as well as a move state. So these are the bomb variables to basically spawn the bombs. This is the gameplay UI, and yes, that's basically it. And over here we're just setting the awake game object, player game object of find game object tag player. So we need to find the player, and then we need to set the instance of it, the player controller over here. And then we are actually setting game over to false because game over is false at start. And then we've got all these keys set here. We've got rigid body here, we've got animator component here. Then we have an update, which is basically handling the reset boost time. This is for the resetting the boost time. The new controller manager here. This is spawn object deplete oxygen player coins update. This is for the updating the UI, and then we've got set player and coins and gems. This is another update, player coins and gems for this the update function. And then we've got this small statement to control the actual animations, which is being handled by speed. Anyway, so void control manager, which is basically just a this is actually not being used anymore. I believe the new controller manager is being used. So this is that control manager, just actually changing the velocity of the rigid body with the input of the joystick. So here we've got enable player rush. This is to enable the player rushing. Then we've got player sprite flip, which flips the sprite according to the horizontal axis, whether it's positive or negative. Then we've got set player coins and gems. Then we've got player coins update. We've got player gems update, player tanks update. We've got deplete oxygen, and we have spawn bomb object here, which is going to spawn a bomb. Then we've got move player here, which is, again, I believe it's not being used anymore. This is for resetting the boost time. It came with the asset that we are using, so I didn't even change that. It just resets the boost time. The rush boost. That's what it is. This is the player hurt variable, player hurt function. I changed this a bit so that the player can get hurt whenever it touches a object which can hurt it. So it has invulnerable boolean as well associated to it, so the player can only get hurt if it's not invulnerable, if he or she is not invulnerable. This is the player hurt game over. Basically runs when, well, the player is dead, basically a function for the game over state when the player gets hurt and reaches 0 health, so that's for that. Then we also show an advertisement here. We've got player tank game over here. So the player tank game over is over here. So if the player runs out of tank, this is the statement that runs, and we've got make invulnerable here. And that's basically your code. So I want to make one thing very clear, that I'll be building another application right now. I'll be building it again and uploading another alpha to your Play Store, because I found that the IDs were incorrect. So I'll do that, and then I'll update you. This is the delivery will be a file. I'll be updating your application shortly.